it's not it, but mommy shit. Few takeaways from my appointment. Placenta brain. Okay, so the first takeaway is my midwife brought up something, and she said she wants me to do optimal fetal positioning from here going out. And I'm like, okay. And she was like, it makes it for a smoother labor, as well as the labor being quicker, I guess, just preparing. So preparing for labor while being pregnant. So I'm like, okay. So one thing I know is that I'm not supposed to be sitting with my feet crossed. While you're pregnant, you want to avoid your feet being crossed as much as possible. For my knowledge, it was more so because of it messing with your hips and your alignment. But she did say that the reasoning is more so going to be to make sure that baby is getting in the position that he or she, they need to be in and staying there. And so from now on, every time I sit, I have to sit like this with my legs wide. And she was like, I should no longer be sitting with my legs closed, because I would uncross my feet, but I would still be sitting like this. Baby girl, you gotta bust that thing open. Gotta bust that thing open from now on. So that does change a lot, because I'm gonna have to sit in a different spot than I would normally sit in. I normally sit in the corner of my sectional couch, but now I have to sit where I can bust this thing open. So she told me that I can do that, and she said the goal is to do it for at least 30 minutes. And she said when I'm using the computer or writing, because we want my posture to be up straight, she did say, sorry, while I'm sitting, have a pillow behind your back. But she said when I'm using a computer writing or anything, I need to lean forward. So she was just like, instead of doing this, you need to be like this. So basically putting that belly in your crotch. So now it'd be like this. And I'm like, okay. So she was like, if that means putting additional pillows, that's what you need to do. So I'm going to be working on that. I forgot to add, with the optimal fetal positioning, she did also say, yes, I do need to try to aim for doing this for 30 minutes at a time. But she said, if not, then I need to crawl from wall to wall. So she's like, I have that option. Then I also have the option of doing it on my birth ball. Other thing that really just made me love my midwife is, I am enrolled in Hypnobabies, but she did also bring to my attention another birth course. It is 1 day and it is virtual, but this birth course is more so meet you where you are. And it's not really a birth course that's about delivery per se. I mean, it is, but it's not as structured in the normal way. So the point is to meet you where you are, as for me, like my 26-year-old self, and for my partner, his 26-year-old self, discussing, how do I handle pain, what am I going through right now that I need support in, and then also what is he going through that he needs support in, talking about how I can manage pain, how he can assist in managing pain. And I know that probably sounds like the everybody's type of birth course, but it's not. And the reason why it's not is because it takes a more like spiritual approach, where it's like meeting you where you are. And so for everybody that takes this class, it's going to be different for you, because you might be 16, you might be 37, you might have a background of this, and you might have a background of this, and it's also there to strengthen your relationship as well. So that's something that I really love. And then to jump back into my midwife herself, because my midwife does not teach the class, she does something called granny midwifery. And so for that reason, in our session, we talked about my history. So about where my parents are born, where my partner's parents are born, where my grandparents are born, my relationship that I have with my grandparents, do I talk to my partner's parents? And she was just saying how, part of this birth and everything is, this birth and this pregnancy is knowing my background and, catering things toward that. And so everything is more catered toward me. And so she was just like, with the granny midwifery, it's very important to know your background, where people live and all of this. And so we kind of chopped it up on a personal level. And that's one thing that I love with the midwife. Like, because if you are getting care from an OBGYN, which if that's what you decide to do, that's completely fine. But if you're getting care from them, I can assure you they're not going to have these types of conversations with you to know you. And the thing is, she was just like, these type of things come up in birth. She was just like, birth comes a time where, you are your most vulnerable self. So literally, you could be in active labor or in a process of pushing, and something just manifest that right then, and now you're thinking about this trauma or any of this stuff. So we need to know these types of things, and that can happen to anyone. But your OB is not asking you these things because that's just not the approach that they're taking. Now, every midwife isn't taking this approach either, but that's the type of midwife that I chose, and I appreciate that, because at the end of the day, I know it's catered specifically to me, and that my midwife knows me. She's not handling me how she would handle Janika. She's not handling me how she would handle Sarah. She's not handling me how she would handle Lachey. She's handling me how she would handle me for my specific situation. And so I really appreciate that, because it's just more personalized and more intimate. Yeah.